Welcome to another edition of the Bones of Advertising. I'm still Craig McLeod, and this guy here is still John Douglas. And today we've got a bone to pick. JD, what's the bone we've got for today?
We've got the bone of the Economist ads. We're going to be very specific today, I think, because I think this is here's a little masterclass for people at home. This is a campaign that has been running for, I think you were saying earlier, since 1986.
Yep.
And they have not changed the style of ad. They haven't changed the look of the ads. They haven't changed. They haven't changed the approach to the ads, but they have managed to remain relevant, and they've managed to remain effective, and they've managed to remain popular
and win a bucket load of awards
for 35 years.
Yep, extraordinary. Now, when we say it hasn't changed, of course, every one of the ads is different, but the sentiment that underpins these ads is identical and has remained relevant right through from 86, where there was no internet, all the way through to today, where they're still doing campaigns that are relevant to technology. You know, it's been moved off just outdoor now into, the digital platform. But for the punters at home, my boy, would be a great idea if you could first enlighten them as to what The Economist is, given it's a publication out of the UK.
The Economist is a periodical that appears, I think it's once a month in the UK. There's a picture of it here. I'll put it here, wherever. Anyway, and they for the large part of their existence, up until about 1984, they were considered very kind of intellectual. They were very stuffy. They were very kind of, upper middle class.
This one.
Bit of that. And they changed advertising agencies, and they went to a mob called Abbott Mead Vickers in the UK. And for anyone who knows their advertising history, Abbott Mead Vickers was the home of the great David Abbott and a couple of other blokes called Mead and Vickers, who, the story of their own. But David Abbott is widely considered one of the great writers, one of the great English writers. He did the Volvo, the poster where the kid was wrapped up in cotton wool, and the headline just said, "Or buy a Volvo." Like, just really, really simple. Did some glorious stuff for Chivas Regal about, it was an ad on Father's Day, and it was like, because you bought me my first bicycle, because you took me fishing, because you got out of work early so that we could go and play golf. Like, just, here's a bottle of Scotch, Dad, and every single bloke who read it went, "I'm going to go and buy my dad a bottle of Chivas Regal," because just a glorious writer. But so they got the campaign, they got the client in 1984.
Yep.
And the first couple of campaigns they ran were good, but they weren't, brilliant. And then if you we'll just flash up the Economist cover again.
The masthead, yep.
The masthead is just a simple red,
white text.
Yeah, white text.
Burst out, really simple.
Yeah, and so what they wanted to do was they wanted to say, this is an ad that people at the upper echelons of business. This is a periodical. This is a publication that the people at the upper echelons of business read. And so they wanted to position it as a valuable, insight-ridden, intelligent, and so they rewarded the reader of the ads by doing really simple, intelligent statements that you had to work a bit to get sometimes.
Yep. But
they rewarded you because they said, because it made you feel like you were smart enough to get the ad, if that makes any sense.
Yep.
And then they just quite brilliantly, they just said, well, essentially just make a giant logo. And so it's a big red ad with white type in it that just mirrors the masthead of The Economist.
Yep. So simple, so clever.
Yeah. The first ad they ran was this one. which is I never read The Economist, management trainee, aged 42. Like, you know, and it's just like, why is it? It's one of those kind of just a slow creeper. But then they did things like it's lonely at the top, but at least there's something to read. Yeah. And all those great ones, like they did the top of the bus. Yeah. They just hello to all our readers in high office. And another one that I think I'll dig around and I'll try and find it if I can show it. I'll show it here. Is look before you leap. So that whole sense of people go, don't jump, just wait a minute. The great thing about this whole campaign, or we can show more of these as we go along, is as we keep banging on about, you and I tend to be banging on about it a bit more today, and you'll get your turn because the listeners do love hearing the sound of your dulcet tones. However, this is about brand assets. This is about building brand assets and the value of building brand assets. You know, that whole, we talk about Snickers and we talk about, we talk all of the people who are prepared to invest in brand assets don't have to spend as much money to get the same kind of return for their advertising spend, because they invest over the course of 3 years or 4 years, or in this case, 35 years. Yeah. It's just stunning. Stunning.
And it's extraordinary that it's run for so long. Like it really is. And the whole premise just hasn't changed. And it's about understanding how to get longevity as well. So the simple idea that can evolve so consistently for such a long period of time. And as I said before, kind of go from 86 all the way through to the Siri's listening.
It's just
say something intelligent. Like,
it's brilliant. Yeah.
So good.
Delightful. Yep. I like the
your favorite, like the light bulb one. I love it. Like, how good's that? Just brilliant.
It just like once you know, like it's, and in the UK, it's part of the landscape. So, you know, there's a certain type of person, semi-intellectual person, ambitious type, that will instantly recognize an Economist ad and feel rewarded because they feel a little bit more intelligent.
Well, I love what they were saying in the narrative we were reading about it earlier, and that was around when it first came out, their idea wasn't to sell more of the publication. So that wasn't priority number one. Of course, it would have been a secondary, but it was to make people feel like they were part of a special clique or club or group. So it elevated them. The whole idea around it was to say that if you read this, it's almost like you're better because you read The Economist. You know, you're one of the smart ones. You know, you're in this group, you're in the club. It's almost like a Freemason kind of thing, but not a Freemason kind of thing, because they just wanted people to get, like you say, like, it's almost like they were rewarded for being intelligent or intelligent enough to consider the magazine, which then made them look even more intelligent. So it was just a brilliant play on the way they went about it.
Fantastic. And it's just, and because it's the masthead, people immediately associate the ads with the product. Yep. So it's like, here's the ad. Guess what the product is? Is like, it's just like.
So when we were talking about the cues and making sure we're clear about brand assets, I mean, what a fantastic idea. The simplicity of it. You walk up to a newsstand, having just walked past any one of the billboards anywhere. And I mean, the best thing about, you know, the double deckers or the buses in the UK are all red, exactly the same colour by chance of The Economist. So plastered across the top. You walk up to the newsstand and the recall, again, we talk a lot about consideration when you're in that buying phase of the journey, and you can instantly recall The Economist over whatever else is being thrown at you. And again, in the early days, they were talking about how the other publications were peddling shit like DVDs, you know, get a free DVD with your, I don't know, whether it was a newspaper or whatever else, or, you know, get some other bullshit claim, whatever. They didn't need to do any of that. No. None of it.
No. And so you've got people who are, you know, want to be business leaders, will walk out of a newsagent or, you know, corner shop or something.
Yeah.
And they'll put the the cigarettes or the chewing gum or whatever, or in their pockets and the paper in the bag. But if they got The Economist, they'll walk down the street with it under their arm, and go, yeah, look how fucking love it. Look how smart I am. I read The Economist. Yeah. And it's that's the kind of thing that, like, the Tiffany blue box is like, that's worth more than the jewelry to some people, because it's like, look at me.
Look what I bought her or him or whatever you like, but look what I bought him or her, or if you get it, look what he bought me, she bought me. Like, look, it's just such again, that simplicity of it.
Brand assets. It's just incredible. I love that whole, that they're not afraid to just absolutely tell the truth. So, in real life, the tortoise loses. It's like, yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, the hair's kind of up front. Yep.
Yeah. They did another ad. I'm sure it was The Economist. I can't find it though. So maybe it's just my memory of attributing to the market leader the good work of other people. But they did that. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. Like just simple things like that are just, you just read them. Like, not all mind expanding substances are illegal. Like, it's just
where guesses become educated.
Yes. Very nice. Yep. And there's just hundreds of them. The creative department they used to have at Abbott Mead Vickers, when an economist, the brief came out for a new Economist campaign, people would fall over themselves, and there would be hundreds and hundreds of statements and headlines written, because they knew only 8 would get picked that year. Yep. Only 8.
Pretty extraordinary, isn't it?
Yeah. And so they would push themselves just so they could say, that's mine.
But when they got to a point where maybe they exhausted words, I don't know, or whether they were at a point, but they rolled up the magazine in the shape of a brain. Oh, which again, like, just taking it to another level.
Yeah.
Say,
you could
got a big one of these. If you read this, you got a big one of these. I mean, I love it.
Just fantastic.
So
just
clever.
Fantastic. So that I think is like, if you're an aspiring writer and you just want to get an idea about what a good headline looks like, go to The Economist campaign and just soak that up.
Yeah. And
then dig a little deeper into the magical life of Mr. David Abbott, who sadly is not with us anymore. And do yourself a favour, as a great Australian entertainer once said, do yourself a favour, go out and have a look at David Abbott's work and The Economist. You will not be disappointed.
No, you won't be disappointed at all. Just a couple more for us to close out on, my friend, just because this one really makes me giggle, because fences make uncomfortable seats.
Oh, yes. I mean, and you have to, like, that's when you read it, you go, what? Oh.
One of your favorites, I think, did you mention this one already? Lose the ability to slip out of meetings unnoticed.
I love that. I love that. Like, it's just, oh, yes. Like, it's just, it's, in opinion polls, 100% of Economist readers had one.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. So good. And I think you've done this one, but it's lonely at the top, but at least there's something to read. You have to cut that one out.
I think it's just one of the,
yeah, God, I think you've done the not all mind expanding substances are illegal.
Yeah. Oh, it's fantastic. Like, it goes on and on and on. They had, like, when Donald Trump was running for president, they ran a headline that just said Trump Donald.
They did the reverse, didn't they? I love that one.
Like, it's just really, really, they seem so simple.
Yeah.
But there is, like, everything when they did at the end of in 2008, they ran ads on the back of buses.
You had the crash one?
Yeah. Avoid
crashes.
just so like, and on the side of those buses, no passengers, just a big red bus with like.
What about this one? We haven't touched on this one. The subscription list most wanted by assassins.
Anyway, we'll put them up. We'll put them up as
we
will,
my boy. That was brilliant. So thank you,
delightful.
because that was your research to bring that one to mind. I'd never even seen it or heard of it, but you being an aficionado, particularly of the great writers of the world, and I believe David Abbott falls well and truly into that.
He's right up there near the very, very tippy top. Like as you crawl past the dying, dead, frozen bodies of writers who have tried to climb the Mount Everest of writing.
Yeah,
David Abbott sits very quietly just up there at the top. Yeah, right near the very tip.
Absolutely, I love it. Absolutely love it. Anyway, let's call that another edition of the Bones of Advertising, my friend. Don't you go changing. I'll see you next week for maybe something special. We'll see.
Oh, I'm very, very looking forward to this.